Vamos, I know that you want it, boom. Love we cannot stop counting, boom. Ra-ta-ta-ta, I'ma make it boom, 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 boom. Vamos, I know that you want it, boom. Chaos be so catastrophic.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at Chk Chk Boom by Stray Kids, the performance version. I have had a couple people in my comments ask me during my comebacks and releases for YouTube if I could look at full cams, fan cams, things like that regarding the group, since they don't have a fixed cam of the choreo yet. And to kind of answer that, I try to follow what Stray Kids themselves uploads onto their channel, because I want my analysis to contribute to their view counts of their respective channel and not music shows. Also, with music shows, it is always a roll of the die on whether or not it gets blocked on YouTube as well. So for me, I try to be patient and wait for the Stray Kids kind of placement and push, just like other artists. And so that's why we're looking at the performance version. This is my first choreographic take on it. Yes, I know other music shows have full cams, but we're gonna wait it out and be patient. So my apologies if you're like, Jess, I want your analysis now. I want to look at it now, but we're gonna give Stray Kids our support analytically in this pacing. So from here, really enjoy the music video. I love just the excerpts of what we were seeing in the choreography. I'm excited to see what just a cinematic choreography perspective looks like for this. It's gonna be really fun. I think without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. That's cool. That's cool. The shirt that Changbin's wearing, I think, is the same brand that Hyunjin wore for Lose My Breath dance practice. It's a similar piping. Or maybe not. That's cool though. I like the opposition that Bangchan did on his feature in that moment. This is a dope breakdown. Vida loca, vida loca. Na 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 na. Tang tang tang. Vida loca, boom boom, chick chick boom boom. Ooh, even everybody pulled it at kind of like the same type of rate and vibe. Okay, initial thoughts about this. A lot of the choreo feels it is simpler. Like it is, you know, and I think that's absolutely fine. In the lens, this beginning is more on the complexity side, with just making sure we have the logistics of the points with the flat hands and things like that. His nails looking banger. Mine wish they could look like that. But this beginning was cool, but a lot of the choices are a lot of unison in there. The challenge section itself, I just keep thinking how difficult it's going to be for me to do, for the simple fact of the laid backness of it and so much of like this marked subtlety in it is really hard for me to do whenever there's such a huge bass or there's so much timbre to explore. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just thinking in this from just a realistic standpoint for me as somebody who's learned a lot of Stray Kids choreo at this point. I've observed it. I've learned other genres as well. It's just this choreo may be deceptively harder for me to do because of the degree of fullness I would want to go to do this, but it wouldn't match the integrity of how the choreo is incepted to look. Does that kind of make sense? So this whole beginning here, it's cool. The cinematic side of it's really dope. I'm really hopeful for a fixed cam dance practice to see what the transitions look like more raw in a one take format. With the guns are cool. And then from here you have Felix just look. They go, he swings. Nice to kind of get them to go and present with more of a kind of presentation. Then you have Ian in the back and then of course we do just some subtlety, little legato, little body roll to reset. Now this part, little boom using the legs and the arms to create this sense of opposition or this fullness or this loading kind of movement. That's something I talked about in the music video analysis, just overview, is there's a lot of imagery in the choreo when you listen for the basses and the ch ch part. A is like cocking of a shotgun. So a lot of that is like reloading, loading up before you pop off, or you know what I mean? So a lot of this choreo is going to have that type of imagery and texture and in dynamic. So that's something that you've already noticed right here. Taking it and then just in a nice V formation, it goes ch-ch, similar to Felix's in the music video when he was in isolation. That was cool. But they go ch-ch, boom, and then from here we open it up. Then we're in a V, but we still have somebody kind of hit right behind Han here. Spacing's fine. We go, we just step out, boom, da-dun-dun, and then we just do, I don't quite think, there's just a lot of muddled movement that's happening here, but it's clean, muddled movement. And it's really hard to see because if you look, everybody's in different fits, so it's hard to logistically look at what's going on with the movement. Does that kind of make sense? And you have the movement of the cinema of the camera, so it's just hard to clock. I may have to 0.75 it just for a higher chance of catching it the first time, but they do a little cross step in front, they're pointing, they're kind of their own way, they go da-dun. So it definitely has this accent with some subtlety to come out of it, some residual effect out of that. Okay, cool. Then we hit it through, boom, da-dun-dun, probably wordplay coming out of this. Let me just turn, yeah, they don't have the English on this, and that's fine. And then from here, done. I like the fullness of Han on that. He completed the body roll before he stepped out. Then we cross behind ourselves. It's a nice little just subtle legato in the chest. And then we go dun. Kind of just flipping over the hand is nice. Then from here, it definitely feels like we're going with like a nene type of groove before we go and we take the wrist and we're kind of whisking in the air. I did mention this. It does look like we're eating up spaghetti in all the places, and I still feel that way. It's cool, nice little points on that. So they're much more clear on like hands and what they're doing with those because they do help further your story depending on what you're wanting to do. So they take it up, that click, cool, with the switch up on that, and then we shift out. Interesting that everybody's facing the same way. Normally when you see that kind of pop out reveal of Changbin or like a feature, normally you have a mirror. So it's interesting that everybody is still, everyone's still low-key. This is all unison right now. You know what I mean? This little regular boom, boom, cool. And then of course we have different camera shots for that. And this move definitely gives that little jump rope, so we're swinging between hop and our weight between our two legs. And then bebula, like I'm full, we go. Just feel like we're just letting the hands go over. So this is very laid back, but it's very deceptive. When I say simple does not mean easy. I never once equate the two together. Simple, it means that it's easy to read what the sequences are, but how they're doing it is harder to catch, as well as whenever you're physically doing this, it's going to be deceptively fatiguing. I said that about Justice by Dreamcatcher, and I physically experienced this. I may wait till there is till their dance practice for me to actually take a stab at it, so I have just a fixed cam knowing exactly what's going on, where they're able to go full out in a dance studio space, because what I've learned is a lot of times whenever you're in like your own clothes that you feel comfortable in and you're in a space that you're used to dancing in, you tend to have a better shot of going more full out in my humble opinion. But that's because I've worked with a lot of dancers in the studio space, and some of the best runs of choreo happen in the dance studio or happen in the space where you rehearse it over these types of venues and locations, because they don't have a mirror, they don't have time to like really clean it. They can go over it in like a circle, but they don't really know what it's going to look like in this space in comparison to when they're in the dance practice space. So, but I digress. From here, they take it, nice little brushes, but once again, some of them are like actually brushing and some are just doing more of like a cordial mannerism brush in the air. So there's just little details like that, very individualized. It doesn't bother me at all. So none of my things that I'm saying are like critiques, they're all observations. I just find it interesting. Of course, you have Sungmin over here. His arms aren't quite up yet, so that's a range thing there. Then we go, now there's your mirrored action right there where they accent with the angle up top, then they go to the inside, then they go I'm strong, really nice, then go yeah, and then here we go into the head ISO. IN is right here, so they're bouncing. It's more of a bounce than a head ISO at this point in time, but if you watch, I think it's Sungmin right there, and then also I think Felix isn't doing it either. I did notice just in the music video, we saw a lot of that, and I'm definitely a fan of that. So whenever you have this bounce with this fixed point is what you've essentially equated the head to, because it's fixed in that space, it's moving over, but you have this isolation that's taking place that's creating and justifying your bounce even though you have an ISO going on. So that's cool. I like that. It takes it through, nice. And then I'm a pop. I like this visual. So you have Sungmin over here having his moment. Changbin is by himself, and then you have them all probably in mini columns, and then they drop with their arms in the gun position. A lot of gun imagery because of Deadpool. The Chk Chk boom is literally in reference to a type of gun or what a gun sound is. Take a shot there, and I like the where he goes and literally pops off. They pick it up really nice. When they take the leg, they cross it back using the torso to help create some openness to make it look more full, which I think is really nice. And it goes boom, one night stand, yeah. And I do know this style is different than most styles that they've done. I've seen most of not all of their choreo at this point, so at least for their title stuff for sure. So I can quite confidently say this is not a style they're familiar with as much as they are with other things, and I think that's absolutely fine. I think that's cool. I am curious who the choreographer is. I still don't have that information. I do know some people will. I feel like you guys will let me know very soon, and then hopefully by the dance practice I'll kind of have an idea so I can have more refined feedback with that. But from here you have Bangchan. He has this ride, so everyone's having their own. This is their really nice. They get to kind of do their own thing, which is nice. This part, they take the leg, they bring it up, and then from there, that triggers the body to have this nice little legato, letting the shoulders create this slinky kind of texture as we go, and they lean into it, and then from there they use that to step into their transition or reset to the front. And this part, boom, da-doom, doom, really nice. And then we begin the chorus. This right here, the hips as you walk is what really helps sell that groove and keeping it a little bit more grounded. So you don't want to think like you're moving your whole body forward, but it's really mostly your hips are digging into the ground as you push forward, raising the arms up. I like the fullness of it. Definitely feels triumphant, like come at me, bro. Definitely like that, which is cool. And then from there, we take the leg, it goes out and out. I know that you want it, so using the chest really helps create more of a legato tension build in that too, which is cool. And then right there, boom, they hit it, little accent with like you're taking it, and it's like a soccer ball, and you're popping it off, which is cool. Now this part right here is what I think I'm gonna be the most concerned with for me when I cover this, is that, yeah, well, no, we cannot, the subtlety to the fullness on that, these textures are hard for me to accept for my body, if that makes sense, because I'm so used to navigating music like this in a particular way. So I'm going to grow a lot as a mover in this process. So I'm letting you know, if you struggle with this, that could be a reason why, is that the exposure to the type of track it is, to the movement quality in which you're being presented with, may not be the same, or the combination of it is something very new for you, just like it's new for Stray Kids. And so there's a sense of unrefinement with it, but I think that's on purpose and intentional. And so I don't have issues with that. It's just an observation. And then from there, boom, boom, I like that. They're taking it. Some of them are using the head to literally create this tension and opposition. And using the head to look away makes it feel more full that way too. So that's cool. They go ra-ta-ta-ta. So this part, I've actually looked at their shorts many a times because the timing always felt different depending on the member that you watch. But in this case, ra-ta-ta-ta. So they accent ta-ta on the tail end of that. So let's watch that one more time just to verify that. Boom, ra-ta-ta-ta. Yeah, that kind of stuff is just, oof, bless it. Now this part here, boom, boom, that little ch, and so it's ch, ch. So I like the build out on that ch. Oops, oof, that might be a struggle for me too, just making sure this is a clean line. And then I do think one of them, maybe it was Hyunjin, he wasn't quite the cleanest on the second run through of that, but it's very intentional. You see it here, it's super dope. Chk, 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 boom, and then we go and we pull to transition, which is nice. And this is nice where they take it into the body more internal and then they step it out. So I like that we have the fullness using the chest, this little pec section right here, and then we're using the lat and the back to create the tension, but there's like, it's like you're hitting a wall and a wall, which is really nice. So I like that. We fold it in, present it out, and I like the look on that. And then we go boom, nice. I like the use and the commitment to the head, of course, noticing the hands are nice. Then we dip it in, boom, and you see, so catastrophic. And then that second one, it's a little different. The first one had more of like a defined angle in the hit. This one feel like we're literally sending off a bomb into space. You know, the little different in the kicks, subtle but effective. Nice. And here, yeah, la ta ta ta. That timing is also really interesting for me too. So the first one, it says la ta ta ta. The ra ta ta tas do not feel like they have a defined timing on them, but I know that they do. It's just all in a matter of figuring out what it is for me. So we kick. So I'm assuming the foot goes on the bass, boom, boom. The ta-ta-ta-ta. So I'm assuming there's a chance that they're not even going on the ra-ta-ta-ta. They're just going on their own counts for this. And that's why it's throwing me off, because I'm used to seeing their movement go to the vocals or a very specific part of the music. And that's what I'm going to settle with for now. But of course, dance practice will verify a lot of this information, because sometimes performance videos, even though you have members verify it, like I know Hyunjin, and at a point in time, I don't know if he still does it, where he goes and verifies to make sure the audio overlay matches the movements in the final draft in the post-production, which I think is really cool. I'm glad that they do that, but sometimes it's still off even then. But I just don't know. I don't know. So I think dance practice will be a lot better when you just have them dancing to the music with no overlay. I think I'll be a happy camper with that. But that boom, and then they throw it away, and then they go back to that ch once again, and then you take it, boom, then through, and then they have to use it and make it have a recoil. There's a lot of recoils happening with the chest, because when you think of shotgun, that's what you're gonna have in physical like movement, if that makes sense. So from here, notice that we have da 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 da, definitely a Latin heaviness to it. Yes, I do know when they listen, because I've already listened to them introduce all the tracks on the album. I've already done that, and I've done an album reaction that'll probably get released after this does on YouTube side, but it's already on Patreon, side note. But all this here, notice that we added some extra timbres, tonal colors involved in the back, which is really nice. So having these little extra bounces are really fun. I liked it in the music video. It's fun. I also like the camera shift on that too. That's fun. Da da dun dun. I like that. From here, I don't know if that's choreographed. It does give that impression. It goes low to high. Doing some fan service over here. Bangchan is for all the fans. Stays all the way around the world. We're here for it. Then from here, they take it up, and of course, they're taking the energy, pushing the energy up to the sky. Then they're bringing it through, and then from here, just a little transition. Then this part, so freaking dope in the music video. So it's interesting that we chose to go with the diagonal in comparison to having Changbin in the center with them being pulled on the respective sides. I think that was cool. I don't mind this, but it does remind me of the pop, pop, pop that we saw earlier. It was that, but they were in mini columns. But here it's just a straight diagonal. We've already set up our weights catered more towards pushing and shifting towards the front of our feet in order to create a counterbalance in this body roll or hinge that that we are starting with here. Yeah, this right here. So it goes pull and pull. So of course his pulls are influencing the subtlety of their movement. What helps with this is locking up the torso and weight shifting between the feet while still sinking lower and lower into their choice. So you have to be very mindful of where your weight goes, and everybody has to be on the same page for that visual to work. So that looks pretty decent so far. And this right here, I really like the look away and taking it through. I did say it was like a full powered Milli Rock. So instead of it being isolated, you doubled it up, which I think is fun. And then we go da da da. I don't know if we're adding some fingers to that or something along those lines. I still just have questions, and I think that's okay. Now this part is where I said it's peanut butter spaghetti time, you know. Yes, they have a track jam. I've done choreo to it at this point, and so they got a lot of peanut butter and jam references. So fun. But yeah, this right here, this whole spaghetti time, I'm here for it. I really like the opposition, that dee 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 dee, and then we're digging it to the other side. Really nice. Changbin, good feature here. Comes back in, so we're going pull and pull. Really nice as we go in transition. I'm always a fan of whenever your transitions have content or they're just as purposeful and intentional as your focal point moments. I do notice more in this one that we do have a lot of like just walking transitions or vibe transitions, getting from point A to point B, if that kind of makes sense. So that's just my observation, curious about what that's going to look like with the fixed cam one take. That's why it's really important to look at a fixed cam on these sometimes, is that yes, with this choreo, you have the music video version, you have the cinematic version, but also you're gonna have fans sit here and watch from a fixed cam viewpoint whenever they're watching. Now, is the top priority when they're performing live their dance? No, it's gonna be a slew of things. They're singing, they're performing, their essence, their aura, right? What they're wearing matters, you know, their interactions with the fans and the dance, you know, so it's everything, and the dance is just one component out of many. And so I understand that lane, but as somebody who studies and analyzes dance content and choreography specifically with the skill set that I actively have, it is something that I like to admire, is looking at the in-between things that a lot of times that are forgotten, like your transitions, or how your features are featured, or how a certain visual incepts and justifies your concept even if you didn't have a costume or you didn't have a music video visual to justify it, right? I would say Domino's a great example of talking through those things, because they have a track preview, but they don't have like a performance version, you know? So it's very fascinating to kind of talk through those things. But right here, bringing it through, he pops it off. I like that. So we have our gun. So now we place it up. Not the best gun safety, but I talked about that during their Kingdom Legendary War set of their usage of guns. But the subtlety here, this is that more walk in place. So they're rolling through the ball of the foot down to the heel and resetting it from each side, which is fine. And they go switch, switch. And now this part was really cool in the music video. And I talked about it here, so I'll mention it once again here. When you have your arm up like that and you're doing a body roll, you have to keep in mind you don't want this arm to be too influenced, because you don't want it to rock in the space that it's established in, is what you can see here. So if you watch Bang Chan's version of this, you'll see what I'm talking about. He keeps it pretty locked in. You do see a little bit of that bicep tricep move, but you really don't see the full arm move, because part of the visual is like we're stuck in a position and we have this nice body roll. Now part of me is excited to see what the full all 8 look like. It's cool with the zoom in, but you know, I digress. But then they go back in. I like this part. They take all their hands in. They go little accent with the part of the music. Boom. They shoot the hands up. And then he takes his gun. Boom. I like the fact that we have like that type of gun imagery of what you see in the music video, like you have that type of fullness, so that was cool. This was also really dope in the camera shot. And then you have the hands, boom, cool placement. They go, bring it back, and then from here, boom, 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 really nice on the grab, and we throw it down. We present it out, so that was a boom, boom, boom. I don't know if we were supposed to going on the doom, 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 or if we were going on 1 and 2. So let's see that. 1, 2, 1 and 2. So once again on counts, not on timbre. So I think that's what's throwing me off. I think because this is the 3rd time I've noticed something that is not going on anything intentional with the music, or I'm just not hearing it. Yeah, it's just going on the 1 and 2. Then it goes to fill him on a truck and 1, that, so it goes knees and out to accent the subtlety of the hand, and of course the head helps complement that. We go from one side to the other, and then I like how he takes his hands. Great usage of range. They take their body, so I like the fact that their hinges are all really well done in terms of them all matching the same rate from getting from point A to point B, which is called range. We love that. Then they go rock, rock, rock. Now the real question is, who was supposed to go where? That ding, 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 ding. That right there, I think Changbin and Ian were supposed to go same side, but they weren't 100% the cleanest on that, so it was hard to catch. Yeah, I think Changbin was either too early because Ian went on the ding, 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 ding. So watch. So that's a little cleanliness note there. And that was really cool. Okay, so yes, I said it was Bangchan on the feature. My apologies. I know it's not. Bangchan was on the first one on this da-da-da-da truck, and I want that ride. This move right here. Really cool that Seungmin is in opposition to everybody else in this formation. So I'm correcting the person, but the compliment still remains. Then we go from here. We just walk to reset. So that's another like, oh man, you know, I mean, the walking is fine because it's only two counts. It's whatever. From here, to set it up, that boom, da-doom, doom. Cool. Really nice. And even when I'm describing movements, where how a lot of times choreographers, we use sounds whenever we're covering choreo, and so even it's just so natural for me to want to go boom because of just the intention of the force that they're presenting in the movement, even though it looks maybe potentially muted or it just feels very individualized. Like the dynamic is still there because it's whenever you establish yourself and you're using like a huge slam of like a muscle group and you're slamming it into a position and you're flexing it to get it to stop and have some sort of like a residual effect with it, that's gonna feel like a boom or a mini explosion almost, right? So from here, so it's the same choreo as what you saw before, but you have this little extra, you know, push coming from Felix in this one in comparison to more of that conversational legato element from Hyunjin, and those match their tones very well, which is why both work. And so that's what's really fascinating is when you see the same choreography done amongst courses in K-pop choreo, but you have a different vocalist or different person singing on the track at that part of time, it's going to come across differently, so a different shift in texture on your feature actually feels more fitting in those moments in comparison to doing it the exact same way, unless your concept and your group are known for synchronicity, which I know that Stray Kids are more known for their being self-produced sound in their brand and niche as a group, in their cohesiveness as a group, in comparison to being the squeaky clean, you know, group. And I love that. I think there's beauty in that, and it makes me, it's just so fun to look at their discography. I really had a lot of fun with it. So this is fun. And then the accent there was really cool. I like the head on that. From there, sub hunting, and he has this dun dun dun, and notice with Hyunjin he goes subtle and ha and dun dun boom. But with Felix he goes a little bit more full. You know, so if anything, this can give more grace to people like me or people like you, depending on what section you want to do. If you're like, I can't just do it the way Hyunjin does. Felix isn't doing it the way Hyunjin's doing it either. So if the members of Stray Kids are not doing it the way that other members of Stray Kids are doing it, we have more liberty and more freedom as dancers and as people who cover out of support and appreciation for people's, you know, work. It gives us that grace to not look quite like them, you know, because I am not like them. I dance very differently, or my training is differently, and that's okay, and we can celebrate the beauty of both in the track, right? So that's cool. Ra-ta-ta-ta. So it was more defined there. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Like it feels like it's supposed to go there. Ra-ta-ta-ta. Yeah, but I don't know. And I want to make it so I like how we push it back. We have a little hinge of the hips forward a little bit more there. So it goes boom, boom, boom. So it goes boom, boom. And then we go. Notice that the accent is equal. And then this one drops all the way, but this one stays up. So I like that. Boom, boom. Na, 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 na. Yeah, that boom, na, 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 na. So instead of it being sticky, he had just a little bit more of like a residual, like a rebounded effect on that, just from the force that he's using on it. So catastrophic, so we're using our body instead of just our arms, which is nice. And then we hit it, it does feel like we drop something and we just sent it off. Just once again. Ra-da-ta-ta, I'ma make it, boom, boom. That right there, I think it was what I was talking about earlier. Notice his angle got off right here. So subtle observation. It is what it is. I have said this whenever I have the privilege of marathoning any group. The dance practice I always prefer over performance videos, because performance videos, sometimes I don't think that Stray Kids a lot of times calls the main shots on which takes of these parts of the choreo make it in. Sometimes it's the director who does, right? I don't know the logistics of that, very interested in that. And so the dance practice is like that one take, we're gonna get it. And there's more impressiveness in appreciating a start to finish with no cuts in comparison to like multiple multi-cut piece together, because in my head, the more cuts you have, the higher the expectation that there has to be a certain degree of excellence about it, because you had extra takes to fix things that you could not have done in a one take. But in one take, let's say the admiration and appreciation is you did it all in one go. So we're more inept and equipped to be more gracious in those circumstances. At least for me, in my case, that's what I've noticed about myself. Hence why for me, this is really cool. I like it. I'm always a fan of whenever you have fits that tie very well with the music video visual. It's a really nice marriage between the movement and the music with your concept and costuming and things. But you know, for me, integrity of choreography, just like seeing it in its rawest form, I want to see it in the dance studio space. But that's just my personal preference. And then right there, boom, right here, he winds it. And then from here, I talked about this in music video, I'll talk about it here. I really like the fact they're using their torso. A lot of times you're going to see idols not use their torso like this, because it's moving it in a direction, firstly, that you're not really used to doing in opposition, because it's a different type of pocket. Do you know what I mean? Because that's more of that Latin vibe. And is this like Afro? Not really, but it does have some similarity, like overlap between what you could pursue in an Afro pocket, which is very different. If you've seen Spell by 17, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Very different in how your movement is supposed to you know, showcase itself. So in the context here with all of this, as we branch it around, really dope. Very much a fan of it, appreciative of that. But I like the fact that we're seeing that opposition, because they could have very easily just isolated it, but they didn't. So I like that they bring the arms up and then they hit it down to accent in frame in between the leg as they pick it up, and they're actually lowering the body into that. And the fact that they're using such torso choices near the end versus in the beginning is very impressive too, because they're tired. So this is something that the first thing that goes away when you've trained for a long time to not use your torso for the sake of vocal stability. The first thing that's going to go bye-bye would be these textures. So it's very impressive that we chose to add this at the end, because it's a really nice fitting way to finish the routine. Then this move right here, I always like it, where you just have this opposition of this march with the body rocking up. Really fun. We've called that a march step before. We've called that an MC rock. It just kind of depends. That tang, tang, tang. Ooh, nice. And then some people are making their own choices. I like that. And we go da, da. Definitely like woe is me, but we still have, you know, a little bit more legato involved, smoothness in it. And this part, the vida, look, I like that. It's really cool. A lot of, yeah, it goes vida, boom. So we're hitting that boom, that syncopation on the rhythm in the back. It's really nice to see that there. Yeah, boom, boom, nice on the basses. We're hitting that too. Everyone making their own choices, and then you have it go drop, drop, drops, going from front, mid, back. And Hyunjin just has this moment, so they had freedom of movement. Dynamics are all matched up, meaning that we have, you know, we're doing a breakdown, boom, 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 drop back. Cool. And then we take our arms up, boom, right here into a nice little pony with a body roll. And then it's syncopated right here. So you have something consistent as a polyrhythm. So they go down and click, 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 click. It looks laid back. This is tricky to do if you're not used to it. Even something like this, you know, boom, boom, like going from side and then also isolating, that can be really tricky for people. It can be tricky for me. It takes me a hot second to understand, to make sure that this shouldn't be influenced off of my thumb lowering. I shouldn't lower my hand. My hand is actually going left. And then when this goes out, these complement, but these don't. Does that make sense? So there's like little things like that. So from here, then boom, boom. And then I like how they take the arm up. It's fixed pointed, so it's stuck up here. And then they're using this arm to create more, you know, complements and accents with the groove that's going on in the lower half of the body. I like that tang tang when they take that leg out, so their weight's over on the right side. Tang tang tang. Third one, they bring it in, and then we do a nice little fanning like what we've seen before. Walk, walk, little laid back vibes, and we walk. Then we go right here, taking the legs, they go boom, boom. Opposition really matters in this. So they take the leg back and they go boom, rock. That chest from front to back is fun. They take the arms, boom, boom, and then it goes to match. So it's like a little Oreo cookie effect. I've called it this. So if you're using similar like textures or similar formations, similar structures, and how you're starting and finishing your choreo, meaning with Felix, his section had this in it, and we hadn't seen that quite introduced in that way until right now, right at the end. I love seeing those things because it feels like here's your intro, here's your conclusion. It feels like a complete essay of information, which is really nice. And then right here they go, they reset, boom, they let the head go all the way to the back. And I love, honestly, the fact that we all go back and then just that, you hear the gun and then you hear just the airways just hear the sound travel through the space, and then having their head all look to the front. Things like that I always love, because there's really, you just have to go off of feeling that everyone's going to be looking front at the same time as you. So that's super dope. So they go, move their way to the front. Really nice. Boom, we're here for this. Super dope. I'm really happy to have been able to talk about the things I have been for this particular type of performance video, because a lot of times when I look at performance video and dance practice, I normally focus mostly on the dance practice because of a lot of things I've already mentioned. The choreography normally looks ideally more practical there in comparison to all the cuts that you see here, but we can appreciate the beauty of a lot of the different types of cuts that we see here in other things that normally don't get talked about in a DP that we could talk about here. So we're here for this. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. If you want to see my just first listen to not just Chk Chk Boom, but the whole album, I have done a music video watch as well as an overview of the first instances of singing the choreo there, and some things I kind of re-talked about here. And I also have done an album listen of all of the other tracks, and I've also done a choreo with Jess, because that's a new series I started with marathon groups like Stray Kids and other ones I've taken a look at over the past year, and which was to jam. And so hopefully that'll come out soon. The Chk Chk Boom dance cover, I will be doing it, so fear not if that's something you want to see from me, and I will hopefully try to do behind the scenes on that as well, like I have with other choreos. And but I will most likely wait until a dance practice that Stray Kids uploads out of, you know, appreciating the analytics of it. And I think having one more watch for me to really see what does it look like with them in a one take, one shot, I think that'll help me as an individual have a better understanding in how I approach it when learning it too. So I'm here for this. If you want early access to any of these things, they're all on Patreon right now. This gets early release on Patreon early, almost like a day, a lot of times before it makes its way to YouTube. So if you want it as it's getting made, that's going to be the perfect place to go and enjoy it. Once again, my name is Jess, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.